All right, let's talk about the big fight blowing up in Washington this week. It's not just about money. It's not just about mortgages. It's about whether a sitting president can really push out a Federal Reserve governor. The person in the spotlight is Lisa Cook, one of the Fed's board members, and President Trump is basically saying, resign or I'll fire you. Cook, for her part, is saying, nope, I'm not going anywhere. This whole showdown raises a huge question. Where does presidential power stop, and where does the Fed's independence kick in? So here's what set this off. Bill Pulte, who runs the FHFA, that's the Federal Housing Regulator, went public saying Lisa Cook committed mortgage fraud. The claim is pretty simple. Back in 2021, she bought more than one home and allegedly told the banks that each one was her primary residence. Why does that matter? Because when you tell the bank you're living in the house, you usually get a sweeter deal, lower rates, better terms. The catch is, you're only allowed to call one place your primary home. If you do it twice, that looks shady. Now, Cook says she did nothing wrong. She's not stepping down. And the White House is basically saying, oh yes you are. Now, on the surface, you might think, okay, that's just paperwork drama. But this isn't some random loan officer. This is a sitting Federal Reserve governor. She's one of the people voting on interest rates, bank regulations, and basically the policies that shape the U.S. and global economy. Her seat comes with a 14-year term so that the Fed can stay independent and not just swing with politics. So when you have accusations like this, it's not just gossip. It could change the entire balance of the Fed's board. And here's the other layer, the politics. Trump has made it crystal clear he wants the Fed to cut rates. Why? Because lower rates mean cheaper borrowing. It makes debt easier to manage, and it juices the economy. He's been clashing with Fed Chair Jerome Powell for years, and now he sees Cook, who was nominated by Biden, as vulnerable. If Cook steps down and Trump gets to replace her, suddenly he's got another ally on the board. That could tip the balance when it comes to votes on rates. So while everyone's talking about mortgage fraud, the bigger picture is power and policy. Here's where things get complicated. Can a president actually fire a Fed governor? The short answer, not easily. The Fed is independent by design. The law says you can only remove a governor for cause, which usually means serious misconduct, not just policy disagreements. Courts have historically treated the Fed as a special case compared to other agencies. So even though the president can fire a lot of officials in government, the Fed isn't just another agency. If Trump actually tries to boot Cook, we're probably looking at a court fight over what for cause really means. So what even counts here? If investigators can prove Cook knowingly signed multiple loans, calling them both her primary residence, and that decision actually changed the loan terms, that's a problem. That could count as misconduct, but intent matters. Was it an error that got fixed? Was it some mix-up in paperwork? Or was it deliberate? Those details matter a lot. Right now, all we really have are allegations and some strong language, but no full set of documents out in public. Here's the risk for the White House. If they lean too hard and it turns out the case is flimsy, courts could block the move. That would make Trump look weaker, not stronger. On the flip side, if the evidence is rock solid, then pushing her out would be legally and politically justifiable. But either way, just the act of threatening a Fed governor sends shockwaves. Investors start wondering, is the Fed really independent, or is it just another political arm? And once people think the Fed is politicized, that can mess with markets fast. Meanwhile, Chair Jerome Powell is trying to keep things steady. He's been hinting that the Fed could start cutting rates soon because policy's been tight and the economy's showing mixed signals. Inflation's been tricky. Tariffs could heat prices back up, and the labor market's slowing a bit. If the Fed does cut rates, some people will say, see, they're caving to Trump. If they don't cut, others will say, see, they're choking growth. It's a lose-lose optics problem for Powell. And this whole Cook drama just makes his job even harder. So let's talk about the what-ifs. If Cook stays, she keeps her vote on the board. The Fed will double down on independence messaging, and Trump will look for other vacancies to fill with loyalists. That's the slow game. Change the board one seat at a time. If Cook goes, Trump gets to put in an ally. The Fed board shifts more in his direction, and markets will assume rate cuts are more likely. In the short run, stocks might cheer. But in the long run, if investors think Fed governors can just be swapped out with pressure campaigns, borrowing costs could actually rise because of added political risk. So, why should you care about all this if you're not glued to Fed press conferences? Because your mortgage rate, your credit card interest, your car loan, your student loan, they're all tied to Fed policy. And Fed policy only works if people trust it's based on data, not politics. If that trust breaks down, you'll feel it in your wallet. Here's the fairest way to look at this. If Lisa Cook really did commit mortgage fraud, then yeah, she should face consequences, including losing her Fed seat. But until that's proven, the idea of a president threatening to fire a governor mid-term is dangerous territory. It risks turning a technical institution into a political football, and once you lose that independence, it's hard to get it back. So for now, we're left waiting. Will the documents come out? Will DOJ step in? Will Cook hang on? And how much pressure will Trump keep applying? However it plays out, this story is about more than one official. It's about whether America's central bank can stay above politics or whether politics is about to run right through it. All right, that's the big picture. What do you think? Should Lisa Cook resign if the allegations are true? Or is this just politics dressed up as scandal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.